Welcome back to the Sheff United Way. I am here with Jimmy from Blades Ramble. How's it going, mate?
Good, thank you, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very, very good, thank you. Today, we are talking about a specific position. The left centre-back role for Sheffield United has been a big talking point, well, since Jack O'Connell got injured, because we all know that in an ideal world, Jack O'Connell plays this position until he's 85 years old and not a day before. But we've had many, many players that have tried to be put in that position by Chris Wilder, by 𝗍𝗲𝗃, by 𝗍𝗿𝗵𝐵𝐿𝐿𝐵𝐿. So let's talk about them. And this season, first and foremost, the only player that we have currently on loan in that left centre-back role is Kieran Clark. What do you think to his season so far?
Very good when he's been available to play. Obviously disrupted by injury, but I think he's a huge upgrade on Robinson. Different player to Jack O'Connell, obviously. Don't really get forward much at all, but does offer a great aerial threat. He's obviously got Premier League experience. Good for the changing room. You can only assume it. We hear lots of positive comments. But I just think he's a level up to what we were working with previously, a little bit like Anel is with 𝗍𝗏, and that's no slight on 𝗍𝗏 because he's a fantastic player and a great servant to us. I think if anybody at the beginning of the season said we're going to replace 𝗍𝗏, why? There's no need to, but obviously Anel's levelled him up. And I think same with Clark. It's just the fitness issues do concern me. It's the second time he's been out with an injury now. But I think certainly when he's fit to play, he's looked very strong and he's worked well with Egan. I know they've played for Ireland together previously. And yeah, he's been a solid addition for me. Whether he would make the step up to the Premier League, obviously he's played at that level before, but I'm not sure how old he is, 33-ish, something like that now. You don't know when the defenders get to that age, when they're going to start to fade. So if we were staying in Championship, would we be able to afford him? I'm not so sure. So I would potentially take him as a backup left centre-back in the Premier League if we're promoted, just for a year and see how we get on. Because I think he's a great member of the squad and he's been really solid for us when he's started this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I put a tweet out there. I can't remember which away game it was. And I said, he's an absolute Rolls Royce at the back. And straight away, he got done all over. And I was like, oh, God, what am I doing? Why am I doing this?
He has had his moments, but I mean, if you compare him to Jack Robinson, old Jackie Longthrow.
He's had a few more moments, hasn't he?
Yeah. There's only one person winning in those defensive error moments, if you like. And no one's getting near Jackie Longthrow.
No. We did a video on Kieran Clark before he signed, or just as he signed. And we put a lot of stock in the fact that he'd scored lots and lots of goals for Newcastle. But unfortunately...
No, we've not seen it. To be fair, we can't criticise Clark because Egan falls into that category for me. I know he's got a couple this season now, but he seems to bag every time he goes on international duty. And when he pulls on red and white stripes, it's over by 5 yards. It's wide, he hits bar, and it just don't want to go in for him. So frustrating in that regard, but we can't have everything. I think we've improved massively on set pieces overall. You can see that a lot of work's gone into it. But yeah, a couple more from our big, strong centre halves won't go miss. No, I can't disagree with you there, mate.
Yeah, going on to talking about someone that's probably not as good in the air because of how short he is Rhys Norrington Davies. Now, he was playing left wing back at the start of the season. He then moved into left centre back when we had injury problems in there. I think a lot of fans really, really enjoyed him playing left centre back. What did you think from him before his injury?
I think Rhys is the natural successor to Jack O'Connell, if I'm honest. Hopefully he'll be testing that in the Premier League next season, but he's vital to how we want to play in the long term. For me, he's our best left centre half, and he's also our best left wing back. So it depends.
Don't say that. Wash your mouth out, Jimmy Blades Ramble.
I'm having it. That's what I'm going with. So you're clearly a Max Lowe man, but I think that's the discussion that you've got to have. Is whether you prefer Max Lowe in the lineup or Kieran Clark, because when
I was actually thinking about Ben Osborne, but whatever.
Love Ozzy, nice utility man, but I get the Max Lowe support. He's been fantastic as well. It's a great situation for us to be in, but I think if Rhys is fit, he's in the 11, and it's just whether you prefer Kieran Clark or Max Lowe. For me, when I'm talking about if we get promoted to the Premier League and I take Kieran Clark, he would be my understudy to Rhys at left centre half personally, because I think he's superb. Come on, leaps and bounds. I think he's great. His energy going forward, he can offer us that overlapping centre half quality that we've missed so badly. 𝗍𝗏 don't tend to overlap much. He's more of an underlapping centre half, is 𝗍𝗏. But we haven't had the option to mix it up really. Kieran Clark's a much more traditional defender, if you like. Robinson's quite reluctant to go forward because he's nervy and he makes me nervy. But Rhys does offer you that quality, and I think he's going to be a big part of our future. Rhys Norrington, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, good. I think what Max Lowe offers is the fact that he has been seen to get in the box. He's scored a goal from getting right into the box, and that's what we love as Sheffield United fans, because even to the days of kind of Kyle Norton, Tony McMahon, Matty Lowton, they all used to love getting forward, getting in the box and actually scoring goals. And from the other side, Max Lowe, it's great to see that. But we're not talking about Max Lowe because he certainly can't play left centre back. Or can he? We may see that. You never know.
I know we've gone off on a slight tangent, but we are blessed with wing back. I think 𝗍𝗿𝗿𝗃 and Lowe are better going forward than they are defenders, and I think 𝗍𝗿𝗏𝗃 and Norrington Davis are probably better defenders than they are going forward. So it may well be horses for courses discussion in terms of who's your opposition, what do you need to do, and play it game by game, because they're all. You wouldn't be upset with any of those starting. Yeah, there you go, mate.
And the thing is, if those players were better, like you say, defensively or attacking as the others, they wouldn't be playing for Sheffield United in the Championship.
No, they wouldn't.
Let's be honest.
No, they wouldn't.
If 𝗍𝗿𝗏𝗃 was as good defensively as 𝗍𝗏𝗏𝗃, he would be playing Premier League football.
Absolutely.
So we've touched on Jack O'Connell just a little bit. I'm not expecting you to tell me exactly here, and I'm not thinking that you're best mates with him or whatever. But do you see Jack O'Connell playing not just for Sheffield United but playing football ever again?
Yeah, he doesn't respond to my calls anymore. I don't, unfortunately, and that's like you say. I'm not in the know. I've no sources. I've no nothing. I think I'm just your average fan who is looking at it from the outside, looking in. I think we'd have seen more progress. I think we'd have seen a few more snippets come out about him being back on the grass, as they say, and all these sorts of things. I think it's a huge shame because he's fantastic. And the thing is, he'll be on a monster wage because obviously
because he was a monster player.
He was a monster player. He earned it. He earned every penny.
Yeah,
but so we've been paying that wage while he's been out for the last couple of years, and it'll be a burden to the club. That's the wrong way of putting it, really, because, like I say, he earned a contract, and it's a risk you take when you sign players up. But I think I offered a solution on one at Rambles recently, and I don't know how feasible it is, or even whether you can do it. If there's any legalities tied to it. I think if we offered him a contract to be a player, like a coach, if you like, because he's often talked about what a positive influence he's been in the gym for McBurney and helping Rhys out when he took on the left centre half role. And I think if we can offer him a coaching role, but with the caveat that if he ever gets to the level where he's confident he can play again, then we get first refusal. You know, obviously not significantly less wage being a coach than he would be on currently, but then you can review it if he's to play again. Then I think that's going to be the best option for everybody involved. It keeps him in the game if that's what he wants to do. I know he's done a bit of media stuff with SUTV, but he's still very young. And if there's half a chance that he can play again, you want to give him that, because what a player he is. What a player he has been for us. So it'd be a shame if we don't see him again. I'm pessimistic that we will, unfortunately, but hoping with everything, I think we all are, that he'll come back. But again, the follow-up question to that is he going to be the same player? And very rarely do players come back from such serious injuries.
Let's move on from that. I don't want to end on that at all. It's a very morbid kind of topic. Let's talk about a less morbid topic. Jack Robinson, we've already touched on him a little bit. Hard man or liability, or both?
Definitely both for me. And obviously this is it's a matter of opinion, and there'll be some strong Robinson supporters, because I do think he has good games at times and looks really strong for us, but he makes me so nervous in possession. And I think he's a nervy player when he's pressed, and it's not comfortable to watch as a fan. We saw it against Burnley, was the one that stood out, obviously, where he made the two glaring errors, but I don't think he's comfortable in the press at all. And if anyone goes within 5 yards of him, it's always backwards, back to Egan or back to Foderingham. So he's the one area, we saw it in Premier League more than anything. He's the one position where teams targeted to come down our left-hand side, drop it in over Robinson's head, and you're laughing because you're in. And it's continued, really. I think he's a decent Championship defender. So for me, if we go up, he'd be surplus to requirements. Because he'll be on a decent wage as well. I think we signed him in Premier League with Wilder, didn't we, as backup to Jack O'Connell. He's certainly not worth a huge wage, and that's nothing. I don't mean to sort of
harsh.
I know, yeah, but I'm just giving my opinion. Really, I think he's a Championship defender. If we don't get promoted, which obviously we're hoping doesn't happen, but if we don't get promoted, I'd be tempted to give him a lower ball offer for a wage and have him as backup, because I don't think we'd be able to afford Kieran Clark as a backup in the Championship, and I think for Robinson to be a fill-in for Rhys on a lower wage, then I think that would be the way to go. He's definitely a hard man. The Aaron Connolly clip that I played 3 times in one of my rambles, I thought were absolutely hilarious. But it's not just that. It's not just sort of scuffles off the bot. He puts his head in where people wouldn't. He is a tough man. I know you joked, you put something on Twitter about who would win a Royal Rumble, and easy answer is Jock, because obviously he's the beast in the gym at the minute, and everybody sees how ripped he is and looks really fit, obviously, but clearly not practically fit. But Robinson is your Scouse hard man. You'd want him side by side with you in a battle. When McBurney's winding players up and they're coming for him, then he wants Robinson on his shoulder, doesn't he, really? So, definite hard man, but unfortunately, I would agree there is also a liability. And that's nothing against him personally, because I love his attitude, but it does make me nervous when he plays. And I think he's one of the very few, if we've any more, I'm not sure, weaknesses in the team.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do think you're right. I think I've already got your kind of grasp on this, but if everybody was fit, except for Jack O'Connell, who would you be picking at left centre-back right now?
It's Rhys. It's Rhys Norrington Davis. And again, I think he's just come on leaps and bounds this season. The sort of consistency we're showing in his level of performance were outstanding. And for a lot of fans, I think he came out of nowhere. But some of us, I think, noticed some good signs and sort of grassroots and shoots of a real upturn for him last season. He's been putting in consistently good performances for a long time now. And I think he opened some eyes with filling in and showing his versatility at left centre half. I also think the drop-off in Ender has helped him. I were an Ender defender for a long time, but he's significantly dropped into... I think this will be Ender's last season with us. I think he's a distant third now in the pecking order at left wing-back.
It's another player that injuries have hampered his career, because he was... I've said a few times in the past that when he was at his peak, you could slot him into any Champions League team, and he wouldn't have looked out of position. He was that good. And now he'd struggle mid-table to bottom half of the Championship, I think.
Absolutely agree. I think that first season in the Premier League, he were absolutely superb. Him and Baldock, I think they were at the exact same level for a long time. And I think Baldock's continued on that. I don't think Baldock's got any better particularly, but he's maintained those really high standards. I'm a huge Baldock fan. And Ender's just unfortunately fallen away. It's really sad in a way to sort of look at some of these players. Obviously, it happened to Mark Duffy, Coops we've talked about, Ender now. People will start to question John Fleck. The core of the team that we've had such fantastic memories of, there just comes a time where it naturally turns over. And I think we're going to go through that at the end of the season, I think, when a few of them may well leave. But yeah, Rhys would be my choice as left centre-back. I think he's the future in that position for us. I really do.
Yeah, fair enough. So, final question. If we were to get promoted and you wanted to improve that position, who do you think we could bring in? Have you got any ideas of players further afield that would fit that mould? Because I know it's difficult.
It is difficult. Like I said, for me, Rhys has earned his opportunity. I think he's shown that he's worth a go at left centre half. His performances have been super. There is a question mark over his injury status. I was gutted for him at World Cup, as we all were. But Rhys would be my stalwart and starting left centre-back. I think I've already touched on, I'd bring in Kieran Clark as an experienced backup, but if he wasn't an option and we're looking further afield, I like 𝗍𝗫𝗄𝐺 at Hull. He'd be my first choice, if I'm honest. My dad were laughing at me when we played him the other night because I kept referring to how good he was and how sort of he were pressing 𝗍𝗿𝗿𝗃 and forcing him back and, 𝗍𝗫𝗄𝐺's friend and all this sort of stuff. But I think he's a great player. He's spoken about very well. We're linked with 𝗼𝗿, I think, earlier on in season when Wilder were there. And I think he's a natural left centre-half. He can play left back or left centre-half. And I think that suits us, really, having that versatility. And it naturally lends itself to being a left centre-half who goes a bit further forward as he plays left back as well. So I like him. I like him a lot. I also like, as a more traditional centre-back who plays in a 2 at the minute, Ronnie Edwards at Peterborough. But he's sought after. He's a young lad who were mentioned, I think, in not the top 20s, 21 under 21 to watch. And people have been aware of him for a while. He were linked with Palace in the summer. So whether we could stretch to him if we got promoted, whether we want to dedicate that much of a budget to him, I'm not sure. But he could potentially be an Egan replacement longer term. So I think we've got to start looking at turning the squad over to a younger age group because we're quite aging at the moment. The quality's there from the Premier League years, but we need to start looking longer term about sustainability. And I know that's the model if we're to stay in the Championship under the current owner. Who knows where we're going to go with this next move, but I think we do need to get the squad age down if we can concentrate on that. So, yeah, that's where I'd go with it, mate.
Brilliant. That's great. I think we're all done. I think we're all done for this one. Thank you very much for joining me and kind of delving into your scouting background as well, which is great to see. So we might have to get you on for another video if we do get promoted or if we don't, and see what sort of players you think we should sign.
Absolutely. No, happy to come on anytime, mate. Thank you for the invite. I always appreciate it.